Chael Sonnen thinks that Khalil Rountree will walk through Alex Pereira at UFC 307. Pereira defends his light heavyweight title against Khalil Rountree in Salt Lake City. Many think Rountree is undeserving of the title shot and see Magomed Ankalaev as the more worthy #1 contender. Uncle Chael, on the other hand, sees Rountree as a bad matchup for Pereira. First off, let me give you the hot take of the day. Khalil Rountree is going to walk through Pereira, Sonnen said on Good Guy, Bad Guy. That is the worst matchup I could think of. This is SmackDown invading Raw, and let me explain. When we think of who's gonna go fight for a title on pay-per-view, we think of other guys who have won a whole bunch of fights on pay-per-view. Well, Khalil was from SmackDown. He came from the other show. Sonnen acknowledges Pereira's aura, comparing him to other legendary fighters that were able to intimidate their opponents prior to the fight even starting. Sonnen doesn't see that happening to Rountree though. Mike Tyson used to make guys quit in the back. Cain Velasquez would have guys wilt in the back. Anderson Silva would make guys wilt in the back as they were so scared of what was going to happen. Pereira is entering that territory. Sonnen said, Rountree is the wrong matchup. All those scary punches and kicks that Pereira does, that's where Rountree does his finest work. This is a massive disaster for anybody that thinks the UFC is trying to protect Alex. If they're trying to protect Alex, somebody just made a big mistake. Sean Strickland says Alex Pereira is not going back down to middleweight, noting that he looked like death during his last weight cut. Following Dricus du Plessis' victory over Israel Adesanya to retain his middleweight title at UFC 305, light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira issued a bold challenge. Pereira expressed his willingness to drop down to middleweight for a rematch with du Plessis. However, Sean Strickland strongly cautions against this move, advising Pereira to reconsider. His big ass ain't going back down to 185, dude. Strickland told ESPN, as a welterweight that moved up to 185, once you get used to that weight class, the thought of going back down sounds miserable. I think Alex should fight DDP at 205 any day of the week. Any day of the week, he sits at 205, 100%. Pereira's last middleweight bout was at UFC 287, where he lost his title to Adesanya by knockout. He has since ascended to 205 pounds, where he claimed the light heavyweight title and has defended it twice. Strickland recalls seeing Pereira in rough shape prior to his fight with Adesanya at UFC 287. Du Plessis himself would rather fight Pereira at light heavyweight over middleweight. I remember seeing Alex for his last fight at middleweight in the back room, and he looked like death, Strickland said. When he last middleweight cut, I walked to go say hi to him, and he just looked like death, to the point where I'm like, man, this ain't good for you, dude, go up. I think at 205 he'd do in a heartbeat, but 185 I can't see him doing that. Luckily for us, Alex Pereira broke up with his long-term partner Merle back in December 2023. According to the light heavyweight champ, he found out that Merle was still married despite being in a relationship with him for years. And upon learning that, he broke up with her immediately. The news was a shock to the MMA community, but what's more shocking was Pereira's unexpected bonding with UFC strawweight contender Polyana Viana. The MMA community was absolutely sure that Pereira and Viana were dating each other. However, when Pereira and Viana suddenly unfollowed each other on social media, it was obvious that they had broken up, although the reason wasn't known. Fans speculated a lot, but never got an actual answer. Until a couple of days ago, Polyana had an interview where she openly admitted that she was texting Pereira's lifelong rival, Israel Adesanya, while being in relationship with Alex Pereira. Here's what Polyana said, quote unquote. Alex noticed on a couple of occasions that I was exchanging anime recommendations with Izzy, but I never imagined that it would bother him so much. According to Polyana, this was the breakthrough moment in their relationship. Polyana seemed surprised and confused by Pereira's reaction, but Pereira's actions were actually reasonable given that she was texting another guy, and not just some other guy, but Israel Adesanya himself. What do you think of this situation? Pereira's and Adesanya's rivalry was 3-1 in favor of Potan. Now it's 3-2 as it seems. Daniel Cormier says Tom Aspinall no longer being respectful to John Jones is a massive win. Interim heavyweight champion Aspinall continues to try and lure Jones into fighting him, but the heavyweight champion is adamant that the Stipe fight needs to happen. Aspinall had reached a point where he almost gave up on his pursuit of fighting Jones, until he took a different approach. Tom started mocking Jones by putting together skits, and DC approves of this method. The fact that he's not being as respectful as he was before is a massive massive win for Tom Aspinall because before, it was easy to ignore him. DC said on his Funky and the Champ show with Ben Askren, DC is unsure what to make of Jones's attitude. Jones has been dismissive of Aspinall and hinted at potential retirement after he fights Stipe. Cormier wants to see Aspinall continue to poke at Jones and put the champion in a position in which he may have to fight him. I believe that those guys should fight, but John seems, and I don't know if he's trolling. He really can be trolling because I don't know John Jones to be openly saying, I'm just not fighting that guy. DC said, that doesn't seem to be his personality. But when you read that post on X, how do you not take from that he just doesn't want to fight this kid? Aspinall could flat out say, this man is afraid to fight me. And people draw to that like nothing you've seen before. And when Jones says that, openly say, okay, I'm the backup fighter for Jones versus Stipe in New York City. Sean O'Malley reveals he has bigger goals in UFC than just being a superstar like Conor McGregor. Sean may not be a fan of Conor McGregor these days, but he acknowledges that the former two-division UFC champion is the biggest star in the sport's history. In an interview with ESPN, O'Malley was asked how close he is to becoming the face of UFC. The flashy bantamweight said it's tough to judge with so many illegal streams, but he believes he can reach his goal if his plan works out. Right now, it's Conor McGregor, 100%. O'Malley said, he's a dork, but it's the truth. For me to get to that, I need to go out there and knock out Merab. I go up to 145 pounds. I beat Ilia Topuria. I beat Max Holloway. I beat Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm 3 fights away from being one of the greatest of all time. One of the most exciting of all time. There's a difference. No one thinks Conor's the greatest fighter of all time. He was lacking skills, lacked title defenses, but entertainment-wise, he's the best in the world. Entertainment-wise, he was the best. Though being UFC's biggest star is a significant achievement, O'Malley aims for more, a mix of superstardom and historical greatness. Sean continued, greatest fighter of all time, John Jones, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev, all up there. O'Malley explained, I want to be both. I want to be one of the greatest of all times and one of the most entertaining of all times. That's my goal. Sean O'Malley is facing Merab Dvalishvili in his upcoming title bout. While stylistically Merab is not the best matchup for Sean, many MMA fans still back Sean to win after he knocked out Merab's teammate Aljamain Sterling in the second round, who is also a pressure wrestler. Both Aljamain and Merab have a wrestling-heavy approach to the game, but Suga was able to put Aljo's lights out. What do you think? Can O'Malley beat Merab at UFC 306? Leave your comments below and thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for daily MMA news.